Right now, it's Senator Tom Cotton. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, Kevin. Good morning to you as well.
Thank you for being on. Senator, I noticed that you had put out some information this morning about ASU and Wendy Anderson. I wanted to give you a chance to share about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to express my prayers and best wishes for Coach Anderson and his family and the whole ASU family. Now that Wendy has succumbed to breast cancer. I followed it like so many other Arkansans have on the coach's social media accounts, and she's gone to meet the Lord, but we mourn her loss, and we hold the coach and the whole ASU family in our hearts.
Senator Tom Cotton here on News Radio 102.9 KARN. Senator, you mentioned red flag laws. You talked about this, and you say that should be a state matter. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, one common scenario that we've seen with most of these shootings in recent years, Kevin, is that there were red flags. Take the shooting in Dayton. This man was caught in school with rape lists and kill lists of classmates that he said he wanted to rape and kill. On a first date with one girl, he showed a video of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. I think there should be a mechanism consistent with due process and the Second Amendment for authorities, families, teachers to go to a judge and be able to say, look, there's strong evidence that this person could be a threat to himself and to others. We already have those kind of laws when it's restraining orders against domestic violence offenders or past felons. That's all based on predictions of their future conduct. However, that's not an appropriate role for the federal government. Moreover, it's beyond the capabilities of federal law enforcement. They're not on the streets. They're not in our schools. They're not in our communities. The people who can best identify these potential red flags and go to a local judge are the local authorities. They're not the FBI or the ATF or federal judges living 2-3 hours away from most communities.
Why shouldn't there be both? Why not state and federal oversight?
So what we could do at the federal level, as the Department of Justice does in many other law enforcement contexts, is provide funding or technical and legal assistance to local law enforcement authorities if they want to implement such a law in their own state. But again, it is far beyond the capabilities of federal law enforcement to be present in every single community. For instance, the FBI here in Washington in Arkansas has just a few dozen agents in a handful of towns. Mm-hmm. Every local community has a police department and has a sheriff's department. They have local prosecutors. Obviously, they have schools with teachers and coaches and counselors and so forth.
Senator Tom Cotton, it was interesting. I was talking to Clayton Neville. He's our Westwood One correspondent in Dallas, and talking to him just after 7 o'clock. He said there that Texas Governor Greg Abbott is going to have a conference with some of the higher-ups that are involved in some of the technological platforms, be it Google, Facebook, and Twitter, face-to-face, and discuss social media and how some of this stuff gets out there online and how that can help look at ideas to prevent some of these shootings, look at ideas for what they can put together to try to flag some of these. I mean, are you behind that also? Do you think that's something that is important and should be taking place too?
I would commend Governor Abbott for trying to identify those solutions. Look, there's no doubt that these kinds of large-scale shootings have increased in the last 25 years or so. I don't think it's a coincidence that is occurring at the same time as the widespread adoption of broadband internet usage and social media. In fact, there's pretty strong evidence that these shootings are something of a social contagion, that one shooting can actually breed similar copycat shootings. That's why they tend to come in clusters. There's pretty strong evidence of that. One thing that we can do is, not repeat the shooters' names, not post their manifestos, not give them the kind of grotesque fame or infamy and death that they were seeking.
Senator, also, too, let me pivot here. Chinese tariffs, also, too, what's happening in Hong Kong. Let me get your take on that. What I'm hearing from some of the organizations that follow agriculture here in the state is the tariffs are really hurting Arkansas farmers. You say the farmers are willing to work this out with China. I mean, explain what's happening there with the tariffs. Where are we going with this? And also what's happening in Hong Kong, too?
Well, first with the tariffs, Arkansas farmers in particular, because rice is our largest commodity, have long faced discriminatory barriers to sell their products into China. What the president is hoping to do is to get a good trade deal with China for our farmers and our ranchers and our foresters and our manufacturers. He didn't start a trade war with China. China's been waging a trade war against us for decades. He simply has joined it and is trying to win it for Americans. Now, what's happening in Hong Kong is 2 months of protests that started over a specific bill that would have allowed Hong Kongers to be extradited to the mainland. That's in violation of the basic law of Hong Kong in the treaty that China signed with Great Britain in 1984 to return Hong Kong to Chinese rule, although with its separate judicial and legal system. But now those protests have really expanded into a desire for Hong Kongers to preserve that system that they were guaranteed in 1997 would last for at least 50 years. And you may have seen the videos and the pictures of thousands and thousands of People's Armed Police massing just across the border in mainland China. If Beijing were to crack down on Hong Kong or to declare martial law, it would be a grave miscalculation of historic proportions.
Senator Tom Cotton, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.